So hi everybody, I'm Acreletae, and I am also really sorry that it's taken me so long to stick up another video. Between work, college, and getting sick about 100 times between then and now, I haven't really had the time to stick anything up. But hopefully I'm back, and I'll be able to stick up a lot more videos. If you guys have anything you'd really want me to talk about, by all means stick it down in the comments. I'd love to talk about it. Just, for your own sake and for my sake, just keep me inspired. So anyway, today I am talking about starting your own dungeons. First thing you need to do is pick a location. So whether that's a castle ruin, the dungeon of a castle, mountain caverns, goblin hideouts, whatever you can think of, use it. The next thing you should do is get a scientific notebook or just regular graph paper. I recommend this because, as you can see, it's got regular paper on one side, graph paper on the other. Very handy for getting your own maps because you can just draw them out here and have all your notes down here, so it's all in the one place, easy to get to, easy to organise. If you don't have that, well then, get some graph paper, stick it into your notebook like your ring binder if you have one, just like I was saying in the last video. So then, location you picked, then what you need to do is maybe find some real floor plans of a castle, maybe on the internet. I don't know if you can find them, but if you can, great. If not, you can always do what I do, which is draw a bunch of shapes on some graph paper and link them all together with cardboards. Ta-da! No effort, no time. Draw it all down. But if it's in a castle, then make all of your shapes squares, and then it's the same. There's no effort at all. I find I put more effort into figuring out ways of not making any effort for D&D, but sure. Whatever to save yourself time. Then you need to figure out what monsters you want to put in. Because, Dungeons and Dragons, you've got your dungeon, you gotta find the dragon part. You could put actual dragons in if you really wanted to. But what you want to do is you want to find a cohesive group of monsters. You don't want to have a random collection of monsters, but you can do it. Your players will probably accept that it's there, but it'll still be like, why is there a yeti, a displacer beast, and I don't know, a bunch of beholders and a white dragon in a dormant volcano? Huh? No, what you want to do is you want to find an appropriate group and then make sure it's a cohesive group. So, for example, goblins, very simple. If you're a low level party, very helpful. Kobolds and a dragon, because they kind of go together very well. Lich and undead, whatever you can think of yourself, bandits. So, you can have some archers and you can have some swords guys and, have them all together and it'll be cool. Then you want to figure out room by room how difficult it's going to be. So, you want a good mix of difficulty levels for rooms. So they'll be like, oh no, this is really easy, oh my god, what's that thing? Oh god. You want them to, keep it interesting, keep it textured, for want of a better word, change the texture of everything. So I have a rule of 6. 6. 1 is piss easy. Literally, that's what it's called, piss easy. There's either nothing in the room, or some level 1 bad guys, or one really low level trap, or something like that. That's not going to slow down anybody. Unless you're a level 1 party, in which case empty would be piss easy. Level, that's a different story altogether. Level 2, not challenging. That's in around 4 levels lower than the average party level. So if your party is level 6, the bad guys are level 2. Works out that way. Then there's kind of challenging. Kind of challenging is about 2 levels lower. So if they're level 6, it's level 4 bad guys. Not going to slow them down too much, but they'll be there for a little bit. Then there's pretty challenging. Pretty challenging would be the same level as the party, roughly. Tough is number 5. It's about 2 levels higher, and then hard is about 4 levels higher. But it can be more if it's going to be like one big bad guy, then make it more. But if it's going to be loads of guys, make it less for difficulty, you know. As regards to their level. So if you only want one dragon, but you want it to be hard, you want it to be about 6 levels higher than the average party. Then, provided you have like strikers and fighters and defenders enough to kind of work together to do it. Because you know you don't want to throw it at a bunch of controllers and hope for the best. I've nothing against controllers. I mostly play them. So anyway, then you want to stick in some traps and hazards. Traps and hazards. Be inventive. Come up with stuff that isn't in the books. The books are grand for guidelines. They're more guidelines than actual rules. I'm sorry, I've recently watched Pirates of the Caribbean. It's kind of in my head right now. I wasn't trying to do an impression. I don't know why my voice changed. Excuse me. So like, be inventive. Use the same stats, but change what they do. So instead of a trap floor, make it a trap door, and like have a big stone door set in the wall. As soon as somebody touches it, it falls in and squishes them. Something like that, you know. It's not gonna kill somebody who's in like sturdy armor, but it'll do some damage. And then, you know, they have to all roll strength checks to try and lift the door off them, and then, you know, it turns into a thing, like a big, like, oh my god, a door fell on me, instead of it just being like, oh, the floor fell on again. Ho hum. I find doing everything out of the book, after a while, it's repetitive. I know there's a lot of, you know, oh, but the books have so much in them. Yeah, but after a while, you run out of so much, and then you're like, oh, it's the same. Then, now this is really important, you need a good plot hook. If you don't have a good plot hook, they're not going to go into your dungeon. And then you'll have spent hours of your time, or, you know, 25 minutes of your life for nothing. And that's frustrating. So what you want to do is figure out, is there treasure in there? Have they heard about the treasure? Is it treasure that they want? That might be why they go in. Are they paid to go down there by somebody who wants to find out what's in there but is too afraid to go there themselves? Or has there been a kidnapping and they have to go and retrieve the victim, or the hostage, or whatever it is? Because there could be a slave trading ring in the area and they're working out of a castle ruin instead of somewhere useful. You never know. It could, you know, just, you need something that'll get your party to sit up and pay attention, or like, oh, something I want is there, or oh, something really bad that I don't agree with has happened and I need to correct that wrong. You know, you gotta get their blood boiling, otherwise they're gonna be like, well, I don't really feel like going into a castle today. I think I want to go into the forest and find out what's in the forest. La 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 la, and then you have nothing in the forest and you're like, or there's that castle. Yeah, and then your players are gonna realise, oh, this world isn't as extensive as I had hoped, or, you know, it's gonna break immersion a bit as well, and I'm not for breaking immersion at all. And then finally, and this is the bit that everybody gets excited about, is loot. You can decide to have it all in the one room at the end, like a dragon's hoard, or you can have it like sprinkled throughout the whole dungeon, you know, coins on bad guys' pockets, or, you know, a little treasure chest with something in it, or a desk with a book on, and the book turns out to be really interesting for the wizard, or something like that. But again, a Pirates of the Caribbean quote, not all treasure is silver and gold. It's not. By all means stick it in, the characters are going to need money to pay for inn rooms and food and stuff like that, but bear in mind it's not the only thing you can give them. Weaponry, armour, magic items, yes, do. But, you know, stick in something different every once in a while, just to keep them interested. For example, if you have a wizard, a rune priest, a dragonborn, something like that, anything like that, they'll be looking for something. They'll be looking for something, some new knowledge. Rune priests will be looking for a new rune, or hints to where a new rune might be, or wizards will be looking for new spell books. Dragonborns will be looking for any hints about the lost realm of Arcosia. Stuff like that. You know, just stick it in. You could even stick in some knowledge about people from their past, and then that'll be a plot hook for a big long campaign arc that could last weeks and weeks. You know, put everything in for a reason. Try and link everything back together, and even if you're only linking things retrospectively, stick it in. Everyone will be like, oh, there's this big master plan, when really you're sitting there going, I have no idea what's happening next week. Make the players think you know what you're doing, and then you will. Sort of. And then if you're like me, my campaign is mainly about telling a story. And so, as a reward to the players rather than to the characters, stick in a bit of story. Like, for example, there was a lich in my campaign. The campaign has since juddered to a halt. There has been some massive mess in my personal life, and now I'm no longer part of that campaign. Somebody else is DMing. I'm mainly focusing on finding a new group. If anybody would be interested, message me, see what goes on. But yeah, where was it? Yeah, so there was a lich, and he was also a god. He was supposed to be dead, but he wasn't really dead. It was a big complicated mess. I don't even know what was happening. I was just like, yeah, he's technically dead, but you know. So they had to go and like sever his spinal cord to make sure he was properly dead, because there was undead spreading up everywhere. And so they got there and they were like, oh yeah, wow, this is really cool. It's a big green crystal tower, and wherever the paladin touched, the crystal turned like black, as if it was liquid underneath. So it was pretty cool. It was real. Everyone was like, oh my god, this is so eerie and creepy, and like, you know, we had like candles. It was the middle of the night. It was like 3 in the morning, and we were out in my conservatories. It was pitch black, so we just had candles everywhere. It was really cool. Do that, by the way. Anything you can do to increase atmosphere, do it. They lap it up. But yeah, and so they were like, oh yeah, la, 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 and it was cool. But then I was like, that's not very interesting. So I stuck in a talking baby dragon, and then they, you know, made friends with this talking baby dragon, and they have a pet talking baby dragon called Blar, because he can't say his full name. So Blar told them his name is Blar, and they don't know what his real name is, so they just call him Blar. He's a cutie, but so yeah. So now every time they're like walking down the street, it was like, where the hell did you find a tame talking baby dragon? Why do you have a tame talking baby dragon? And they're just like, well, there was this dead god, right? And then they get to tell this giant story, and then I'll be sitting there as the NPC going, this is amazing, and they'll be like, I know, right? We're so cool. And, you know, getting them to tell their story to people in taverns, to bards, then, you know, it's really cool. And if you have that extra creative bone in your body, what you could do is write out, like, rewrite the lyrics of a nursery rhyme to tell their to tell a story of something they did, but that they told a bard, and then have them hear that song a few weeks later in some tavern with a different bard singing. Just like, oh, where did you hear this? Oh, I heard it back in the city that they happened to be in a few weeks ago. Wait, you're telling me that you know our story? And then, you know, have a big like, oh wow, we're famous kind of thing. It's pretty cool. It's a good idea. But like, you know, because it's like Mary had a little lamb, you can, you know, sing it away to them if you've the guts for it. I probably don't, but you know, I might have to do that someday. I'm learning the ukulele. I might have to play it for them. But in any case, that's kind of all you need to do up a dungeon. That's the things I do to do up a dungeon. Obviously, if you have a different method, that's what works for you. It works for you. This is just how I do it. If anything I've said is useful, use it. Happy out. I'm only here to help. So I've been Acreletae, and hopefully this has been helpful, and hopefully I'll get lots of comments of things I should talk about, so I can do up more videos, because I'm running low on ideas for these things. So see you soon, hopefully.